Hello to you all and welcome to EWTN's series of Lenten reflections, and welcome to Belfast, Northern Ireland. Before I start the reflection for today, let me tell you a little bit about myself, our diocese and the parish I am speaking to you from. My name is Martin Kelly. I've been a priest in our diocese here of Down and Connor for almost 49 years. It's hard to believe. Imagine, 49 years. Where does the time go? Tempus fugit. I suppose if you're enjoying yourself, time flies. And I've been enjoying myself as a priest. I've been very happy and fulfilled. I've touched the lives of thousands of people for the good, and I hope I have not done too much damage. Our diocese is in the northeast of Ireland and comprises County Antrim, where, as the song goes, the green glens are calling to me. I would love to sing it for you, but I'm sorry I haven't got a note in my head. But if I had a voice, I'd be the very man to serenade you. The diocese also includes part of County Down, where the mountains of Mourne sweep down to the sea. That's a line from another lovely song. The whole of the city of Belfast is in the diocese, of which Bishop Philbin, Lord have mercy on him, wrote in his 1983 publication a book of poetry entitled The Bright Invisible. He wrote, "Belfast is walled by mountains and moated by sea, and undermined by deposits of history." I like that line. Undermined by deposits of history. It's so true. And I'm sorry to say, it has been like that for generations and still is. I'm speaking to you from the parish of St. Patrick, close to the city centre of Belfast, which is celebrating its 200th anniversary this year. It has suffered over the years from the undermining Bishop Philbin spoke about, through periods of institutional violence and discrimination. It was here, by God's grace, that I was privileged to serve the people of God from 1987 up to the first ceasefire in 1994. It was a blessing for me and a pleasure to work with people who had suffered from generations of deprivation and violence. It wasn't easy, because many Catholics and Protestants were pitted against each other and divided by a so-called peace line. Hatred and anger became ingrained, a vile mixture which, unfortunately for many, became socially acceptable. And that's awful. Yet, in the midst of all of this, there was grace and healing. I experienced in so many the capacity to love and forgive, people of faith and hope who celebrated joyfully the presence of Christ amongst them. I would like just to continue my reflection on the Gospel for today, the third Sunday of Lent. The extract is from St. John chapter 2, verses 13 to 25. It's about Jesus of Nazareth cleansing the temple, and where he refers to the significance of his own body and hints also at the crucifixion and resurrection. We all know that deprivation, discrimination, sectarianism, and violence give rise to anger and hatred. Anger and hatred together make a very poisonous mix. This mix can take over a person's life and the life of a community. I saw this mix of anger and hatred boil up when a Protestant murder gang from the Ulster Volunteer Force burst into a small pub in Union Street in the Catholic area, not far from this church, sprayed the bar with bullets, killing 3 men and injuring more. I saw it boil up in people when they were coming out of Sunday evening Mass in this church and were confronted with Orange Order bands banging their drums, playing sectarian tunes and being antagonistic and provocative. I saw it boil up in people from the Shankill when 8 Protestants and 1 of the bombers were killed in an IRA blast in Frizzell's fish shop on the 28th of October 1993. Some of the bodies were taken to the local Mater hospital. I visited the hospital and went to give my sympathy to a Protestant minister that I knew, very, very nice man. He was talking to some people from the Shankill. He thanked me and said I'd better get offside quickly because the people were so angry and hate-filled that he might not be able to protect me. If this mix of anger and hatred is combined with a fundamentalist version of religion, it becomes very dangerous for whole countries and indeed for the world. We see this in the various distorted expressions of Islam like ISIS, Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda, and the Taliban. I'll pick up on this theme in a few moments. I'll see you then. Welcome back to our reflection on the 3rd Sunday of Lent. My name is Martin Kelly, and I am speaking to you from St. Patrick's Church in Belfast, which is celebrating its 200th anniversary. Before the break, I was speaking about the poisonous mix of anger, hatred, and fundamentalism. We can see it happening today worldwide, and it has been very much part of the history of this parish of St. Patrick. Because there are so many inhuman and cruel expressions of anger, it's difficult for many people to associate anger with Jesus. Now, first of all, we must remember that anger on its own is not always evil. It depends on what's causing the anger and how we deal with it. For instance, we could act out of anger unnecessarily for purely selfish reasons. Now, on the other hand, we could be angry because of our opposition to evil in all its forms. There is justifiable, appropriate anger. The passion of anger can make us do great things, pursue just causes, be passionate for the common good, and enable us to sacrifice ourselves for the sake of others. We see in the Gospel reading for today, the third Sunday of Lent, Christ being angry because the temple was being abused. He took a stand and publicly made the gesture of cleansing the temple of its abusers. It angered him that God's house was becoming a marketplace. Many good, pious people do not dwell too much on the angry Jesus. But he did make a whip out of cords. He did. He wrecked the place, overturned the tables of the racketeers, scattered their money all over the place, drove them out of the temple and shouted at them, "Get out of here and don't be making the house of God into a marketplace, a den of thieves. Get out of here." There's one thing certain about Christ. He was angry and showed it. He was real. He was fully human, fully a man. We've all heard that the Word was made flesh. Now, unfortunately, too often, it is reduced to the level of a cliche. The phrase, "the Word was made flesh," can easily be reduced to mere words and lose its connection with reality. We can easily emphasize the fact that Christ was divine, but not accept the fact that he was fully human, and not accept the full meaning of the incarnation. But the truth that he was the Son of God did not take over from his humanity, did not diminish it or undermine it in any way, or make it easier for him to live as a man, growing, struggling, learning to cope as we all have to do. He was as emotional, as sensitive, and as passionate as a man could be. Jesus had feelings like the rest of us. He was courageous despite the fear. He cleansed the temple knowing only too well that it would lead to his crucifixion. He would empty himself of all dignity, human and divine. He would be stripped naked to be a laughing stock. He would cry out in desperation to the Father, "Why have you deserted me?" No man or woman could feel so abandoned or go so far down into the pit or go so low that he or she would not find the Son of God made man standing beside him or her. Love, forgiveness, and hope went down into the pit of life with him, so that the most wretched can experience them. And this is smelling of the sheep. Christ was passionate about loving people. He was passionate about loving the Father. Not my will, but thine be done. Now, Jesus had all this in mind when he said to the Jews, "Destroy this sanctuary, and in 3 days I will raise it up again." He was talking about his body that would hang lifeless on the cross, but would be raised up in the resurrection after 3 days on Easter Sunday. He spoke about this at the Last Supper when he said, "This is my body, which will be given up for you." Given up, crucified, for you, for me, personally. By giving himself to us in the Mass, he makes us his body, the means by which he is present in today's world in order to carry on his mission. There was a burning, appropriate anger in Jesus of Nazareth. There should be a bit of the same fire in our bellies about the same issues that Jesus confronted and gave his life for. You see, the Christ event is not something that happened only 2,000 years ago. It is also a today reality. Christ is risen and active in our world. We are the baptized and confirmed ones. When our parents brought us to the baptismal font, we were incorporated into Christ, and he was incorporated into us. In fact, from the moment of our conception, we were made in God's image and likeness. Imagine that. And our baptism added to that amazing reality. It brought a new dimension by incorporating us into Christ's life and lifestyle. We are his disciples, his witnesses. We are called by God. You have not chosen me. No, I have chosen you. We are his body in today's world. Remember what St. Teresa of Avila wrote? I have no eyes but yours. I have no hands but yours. I have no feet but yours. Christ himself said, he is the vine and we are the branches. In today's world, we are the ones that are called to bear fruit, to make a difference. And we are the empowered ones because he has risen. He is not now just Jesus of Nazareth. He is the Christ, the anointed one. Nothing exists or could exist without his say-so. He has overcome evil, sin, and death. He has given us the victory, as St. Paul says. He has filled us with his Spirit. Therefore, passion and courage should be the driving force in our lives. There should be anger in our stomachs because of evil, an anger strong enough to make us stand with Christ and to stand for love, truth, goodness, and the dignity of every human being from the moment of conception until God calls us. There is no room for cowardice, backing down, or opting out in the world of Christ. I've seen people standing for Christ and with Christ in this parish of St. Patrick. I've seen people who have suffered as victims of injustice, but who have risen above it to be forgiving, loving people. I've seen it in good Protestant people who have shaken hands across the peace line and made it a genuine peace line. Thanks be to God for the genuine followers of Christ, Catholic and Protestant. Commentators, often with a secularist or so-called liberal agenda, have made sweeping statements blaming religion for causing the troubles. And one should expect from them more nuanced comments. It is true, of course, that fundamentalism and the various caricatures of religion do a lot of damage. The caricature of religion always angered Christ and led to his crucifixion. I've often said it, right through the Troubles, that if it had not been for the genuine practice of religion on both sides, that the lid would have come off and the violence could not have been contained. I remember thinking that the lid was going to come off after the bomb blast in Frizzell's on the Shankill Road that I've spoken about. Thanks be to God, it didn't. I say again, thanks be to God for the genuine followers of Christ on both sides. Thanks be to God for authentic religion and for all the good people who prayed for peace. Thanks be to God for Jesus, the Christ, who was fully human and fully divine, and who was risen, alive and active in our midst. Thank you for joining me, and if you ever visit Belfast, you'll get a great welcome in St. Patrick's. And join us next time when Father Dominic McGrattan, a newly ordained priest, will be speaking to you on the readings of the fourth Sunday of Lent. And may the celebration of the risen Christ at Easter time fill you with joy and empower you to be his witnesses today.